Okay, so for
Imagine a
decades,
secret,
right,
just
the U.S.
lying there
government line was
undisturbed
basically
for, over 2,000 years.
supernatural
Not
stuff,
just guarding an
psychic
emperor's
powers,
body, but
telepathy,
maybe
seeing
a
things
whole
far
hidden
away with your
piece of our
mind,
history, a place
pure
where,
fantasy. That's what they told
legends,
everyone.
Yeah, that was the
science,
public
and some pretty
face.
wild
Complete
speculation all collide.
skepticism.
A
But,
sealed room,
while that was the
untouched,
official
and the
story,
reasons why
behind
range from
closed
careful
doors,
archaeology
something,
to,
something much
something
stranger was
conspiratorial.
apparently going
Welcome
on.
back to the deep dive.
Deep inside
Today
the
we're digging
intelligence
into one of the most,
community.
I think, profound
It's a really
and
interesting contrast,
mysterious
isn't it?
archaeological
Publicly,
sites
it's all
anywhere on
scientific
Earth.
dismissal.
The tomb of Qin Shi
Privately,
Huang,
the
China's
Pentagon, the
first
CIA,
emperor. And this isn't just
they're
some
clearly
burial site,
wrestling
it's
with something
a
very
maze
different.
of
These
unanswered
fantasies
questions. So our
suddenly
mission
become
to unpack every layer
a
of this
serious
mystery. We'll
strategic
look at old
issue.
historical
Exactly.
texts, modern
And that
science,
worry,
some
that
pretty
sort of
compelling
creeping
theories,
fear
even the
about
unusual
psychic
ones.
warfare, it
Okay,
leads to one of
let's
the
get into this
honestly
incredible
most
story.
bizarre
Absolutely.
and top
And you
secret
really have to
projects
start
of
with
the
Qin
whole
Shi Huang
Cold War.
himself. I mean,
Project
historically,
Sunscreen.
he's immense.
I mean, just picture
Not just founding
an
Imperial China,
actual
but think about
government
the Great
project
Wall,
trying
the
to
early
weaponize the
stages,
human mind.
standardizing
Funded off the
money,
books.
writing,
Totally easy.
measurement.
And officially,
Across
the cover
this
story, or maybe
huge,
the
newly
initial idea
unified
was
empire. But
remote
like you said,
viewing.
his
Right.
biggest and
This
maybe most baffling
supposed
legacy is hidden
ability for
under that
trained
giant
people to just
pyramid-shaped hill near Xi'an.
perceive
This,
distant
a
places,
subterranean
secret
palace
enemy
guarded
bases,
by the
maybe even
Terracotta Army,
peek
we
into
all
the
know.
future.
But the
All
emperor's
just
actual
using
tomb,
their minds.
still sealed,
And we should
still
be
a riddle.
clear, this
And it
wasn't
feels like
some
what we
like
do know,
side
or
hobby.
think
It
we
wasn't
know,
just a few
might just be
folks messing
scratching
around.
the
Okay.
surface.
This was a
Hints of
strategic
forgotten
move,
tech,
a
maybe
direct
ancient
response
power
to what they
sources.
thought the Soviets were doing.
Maybe even,
They
dare
were
I say,
urgently
connections
trying to
beyond
get an
Earth. So this
edge in a
isn't just
completely
history.
new
It
kind
feels
of,
like a
well,
journey into what
battlefield.
we
And that's what we're
as
doing today. We're
humanity
going to peel back
might
those
be
layers of
totally missing
secrecy,
from our own story.
really
Right
deep
under our
dive
noses.
into Project
Okay, let's start with
Sunstreak
what has come to
and
be.
the kind of
The
wild
thing that really
conspiracy
blew
theories
everyone
that are
away
still
back in the
swirling around it.
70s. Yeah, because the
Terracotta
story goes
Army
way
discovery.
beyond just
I mean, can you
psychic
picture
spying.
it?
Oh, absolutely.
Farmers just
It
digging
might
a
have
well
cracked
and,
open the
you
door
know,
to, well,
rural China,
alien
and bam,
contact,
headed
maybe
on.
even
Then ahead,
some sources
then
suggest
thousands.
interdimensional
Thousands of
conflict.
life-size
It gets pretty
places.
out
It's
there.
just
It really
mind-blowing.
does. So we're going to look
Over
at where it came
8,000
from, the really
statues
unsettling things that
each
viewers
one unique,
reported seeing,
standing there silently for
the
2,000
weird
years.
overlaps with
The
old
details.
occult stuff,
It's just astonishing.
and these incredible
No two
claims
faces
about
the same.
contacting,
Which makes you think, yeah, maybe they
well,
really were
the
modeled on
unknown.
his actual source.
So yeah,
And here's
settle
something
in.
cool
This
traces
is where
of paint.
things
They weren't
get
just
weird.
gray clay. They
So
were
where did
painted,
Sunstreak
brightly
even
colored,
come from?
apparently. A
It
whole
really
lifelike
kicks
army.
off back
How
in
they
the
made
early
those
70s.
pigments
There was
last,
this
that's
sort
a
of
bit of a puzzle.
quiet panic
And that
brewing
sophistication,
in
it
the
goes beyond
intelligence
just
world
the
during
statues.
Cold War.
Right.
Look at the
Word
weapons
got
they
out
found
that
with
the
them. We're
Soviets
talking
were
bronze
pouring
swords,
serious money
arrowheads
and effort into
that basically showed
parapsychology.
no rust,
And not just
none.
dabbling.
We're
After
talking
2 millennia underground.
state-sponsored experiments,
Which led to this
telepathy,
really startling
viewing
theory
objects
about a
with
protective
mind
coating,
psychokinesis,
specifically
and
maybe
crucially,
chromium oxide.
remote viewing.
Now,
Yeah,
if
and when
that's
U.S.
true,
intelligence picked up on
it
this,
implies a chemical
alarms went
preservation
off.
method,
Yeah.
Big
essentially
time.
rust
In the
proofing,
Pentagon,
that we didn't really
You can
nail
imagine
down
the fear,
until the
right?
20th
What if
century.
this stuff
That
is real?
is
Even if it only gives a small
staggering.
advantage.
So
Exactly.
when you look
the
at
U.S.
that, is
could be
it just a
completely
freak coincidence?
blindsided in a conflict
Or is it
that
genuine
doesn't use
evidence of
bombs or
knowledge they shouldn't
spies
have
in the
had?
traditional
Well,
sense.
that's the million-dollar
this
question, isn't
perceived
it, for
threat,
everyone
this potential
involved. On one
psychic
hand,
gap,
yeah, human
it leads
ingenuity
directly
pops
to
up
the
in weird
CIA
ways
starting
throughout
Project
history, we know
Stargate.
that.
Which was
But on
kind
the
of the
other,
umbrella program. And
the
under Stargate,
consistency,
you
the
get
chemical
these
know-how
sub-projects.
needed for chromium
Project
plating on
Sunstreak
that
was one
scale,
of them,
it messes
run
with
by
our
the Defense
timeline of tech
Intelligence
development.
Agency, the
The key
DIA,
thing is,
mostly
if it is
through the
confirmed, it means a
1980s.
culture
Okay,
2,000
so
years ago
Sunstreak
had the
gets going.
scientific grasp we only
And on
rediscovered
paper,
recently. That changes how
its
we see
job
ancient
sounds,
capabilities, and it makes
well,
you ask, okay,
almost
what else did they
straightforward
know?
for that world.
Right. And that
Recruit
question just gets
people,
louder.
train
when
them
we
as
pass the
remote
Terracotta Army,
viewers.
amazing as it is.
Get them to
Because,
project
like
their
you said, it's
consciousness,
really
basically,
just the
and
the
spy
opening
on
act,
Soviet
the guard at the
facilities,
gate.
gather
The
intel.
really standard espionage, just with a very unconventional method.
But that's not how it played out, was it?
for
It became
centuries,
clear
the
pretty
only
fast
clues
this
we
wasn't
had
just
came from
about
this one
finding
guy,
missile
court
silos.
historian.
No, almost right
Xi'an.
away, the viewers
Writing
weren't
over
just
2,000
describing,
years ago.
submarine
His
pens or
records of the
radar
grand
installations.
historians,
The
they're vital.
data
He gave
started
these
getting
meticulous details.
weird.
And he
Weird how?
described
Well, that was the big
fantasy
turning
world
point, really.
underground. He wrote
The
about
viewers
rivers
started
and
reporting
seas,
things
liquid
that, based
mercury
on our normal
flowing
understanding of
through the
physics and
tomb,
reality,
a model of the
shouldn't
cosmos,
exist.
pearls
Things
for
that shouldn't
stars and
exist.
traps,
Okay, now we're
deadly
getting
traps and
somewhere.
crossbows ready
Yeah,
to fire
the
to
information
stop
they were
anyone getting
bringing
in.
back was
For the longest
pushing
time,
way
everyone
past
just
the
thought,
boundaries
okay,
of
great
what anyone
story,
expected.
myth, exaggeration.
It fundamentally
Exactly.
challenged
Pure
what
legend.
the program was
But this
even
is where
supposed
modern
to be
science
doing.
just
So
throws
tell
a
me about these
curveball.
viewers. They
Recent
weren't just
studies,
random people
proper
off the street,
scientific
right?
analysis
Yeah.
of
Many
the
had military
soil around the mound.
That's right,
They
often
found
military
these
personnel.
incredibly high levels
And
of
they went through
mercury,
this really
abnormally
specific,
high,
structured
and
training.
concentrated right where Xi'an described
Controlled
these
protocols
features.
was the term.
So this isn't
like
just some
coordinate
weird detail.
remote
It connects
viewing, or
directly back to his
CRV.
account.
CRV.
His
Okay.
huge
So it
credibility
wasn't
was the whole
just
description.
like
Suddenly,
closing your
myth
eyes
starts
and
looking
hoping
like
for the
myth.
best.
No,
Like
very
facts.
It's
systematic.
amazing when
They
that
might
happens,
be
isn't
given
it?
just
When
a set of
science
geographic
backs up
coordinates,
ancient
or maybe
lore,
a
it
random
really
number
forces
linked
you
to a
rethink
target.
how you read
Then they'd
those
go
old
through these
texts.
stages, sort of
See, McKeon
drilling
wasn't just
down,
telling
describing
tales, he was
sensory
recording
details,
something
sketching
real.
impressions,
And that opens up a whole
trying
new set
to
of questions.
build
Like
a
the big
picture
one,
of a
the
target they knew
mercury.
nothing about
Why so much?
consciously.
Why would an emperor back
Often
then,
something hidden
3rd
miles
century
away, maybe even
BCE,
sealed in
have
an
access
envelope
to
right
and
there in the
use
room?
these vast
did it
amounts
work
of a rare
initially?
toxic
Well, the
metal
early
like mercury?
results
What was it
were
really for?
apparently
Well, traditionally, Mercury
intriguing,
had this
impressive maybe, but small
dual
scale.
significance in ancient China.
You know, sketches that
Very
looked
powerful.
surprisingly exactly
On
like
one
a
side,
Soviet
it was linked to
factory.
immortality.
Details about a hidden
elixir.
bunker that later matched
Qin Shi
spy
Huang
photos.
himself famously
Enough
drank
to keep the
mercury
funding
potions,
flowing,
hoping to live
definitely.
forever.
Okay, so it had some
Ironically,
legs.
some historians
But
think
then,
that's
like
what
you
killed
said,
him.
things took a
Mercury
turn.
poisoning.
A sharp turn, yeah. Because it's
Then
one
there's
thing
the
to
other
sketch a
side,
building
like
you shouldn't know
Xi'an wrote.
about. It's something
The
else
Mercury rivers
entirely
could
when
symbolize
your
the actual
trained
rivers and
military
oceans
viewers
of his
start reporting
empire.
experiences that
A
just
miniature world in his
flat out
tomb, so
defy
he
the
could keep
material
ruling
world
after
as we
death.
know it.
That's the standard
What kind of
interpretation.
things?
Okay,
Well,
that makes sense
get this.
symbolically,
Some
but then you
viewers
get these
started
other
reporting
theories, the more, let's say,
energy
out there
beings. Energy
ones,
beings.
suggesting
Yeah.
the mercury
Not
wasn't
people,
just
not
symbolic.
animals,
Maybe it was
just
functional.
conscious energy
Maybe
forms
preserving
that were
something,
apparently watching them while they were doing
knowledge,
the remote
things
viewing.
not
Watching the
meant for us.
viewers. Okay, that's
Sounds
crazy.
a bit
Right.
sci-fi.
Others
what's the
claimed
thinking
they weren't
behind
just
that?
moving
Well,
across
the
space,
ancient power
but
source
across
idea
time,
connects to
getting
Mercury's
glimpses
unique
of
properties.
ancient
Its
history or even
electromagnetic
future
potential.
events.
Whoa.
It's not completely
Time
out of
travel.
left field to think
That's what they
ancient
reported.
cultures might have
There's one
experimented
really
with material
famous
in
or
ways we don't
infamous
fully
account.
grasp. Not just
A
symbolic
viewer
uses, but
insisted they
practical
saw
ones.
the Egyptian pyramids
Could
being
these
built,
huge amounts of
but
mercury have
not
been
by
part of some
Egyptians,
system? Maybe
by,
energy
quote,
storage.
tall,
Or transmission.
luminous entities.
Could have powered
Luminous
something
entities
inside
building
the
the
tomb.
pyramids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Machine
that
designed
sounds
to
like
last
something
millennia.
from a, fringe
Some even
documentary.
float the idea of it
Exactly,
being
except
part of,
these
like,
were reports
a time
coming from
capsule
within
mechanism,
a
preserving
classified
the
military
contents
intelligence
actively.
program. That's what makes you stop and think.
A device,
definitely.
maybe
Any other
some
examples?
Oh
incredible
yeah,
ancient
another
machine
one just
powered
as
by
strange.
rivers
A
of
viewer
toxic
claimed they
metal,
found hidden
away,
spacecraft
maybe left
under
by
the
someone,
ice in
or
Antarctica.
something else.
Okay, so we've got
Hidden
the terracotta
spacecraft,
army,
which is
Oh.
unbelievable.
like
on its own.
UFOs.
We've got ancient
It
legends
seems to
suddenly
be the
seeming very real
implication.
thanks to science.
And
We've got
guarded,
these
apparently,
crazy mercury
by some
levels,
kind of
but
consciousness that
maybe the
resisted
biggest puzzle of
intrusion,
all.
like a
Why
psychic
won't the
guard
Chinese
dog,
government
but
let
not a
anyone
dog.
excavate
Okay,
their
wow.
own tomb?
So these
Right,
reports,
the official line is
they're just
preservation.
ignored.
It's
Filed
consistent.
away as crazy.
Well, officially,
Argue,
a lot of the
quite
stuff was
reasonably
probably
in some ways,
downplayed or
the
buried,
current tech isn't
classified
good
deep.
enough.
But
That
inside
opening the tomb
project,
now, exposing
the
everything to
whispers
air
start.
after
The
2,000
idea
years
took hold that
could
maybe
cause
remote
instant,
viewing wasn't
irreversible
just about
damage.
spying on the
Think
Soviets
silks,
anymore.
manuscripts,
Maybe.
organic materials.
Maybe it was about making
Oof.
contact.
And this is where it gets
So
even
they say, let's
stranger,
wait.
right? The
Wait for better
connection or the
technology.
apparent connection
It's a
to
responsible thing to do for history.
occult
Which
practices.
sounds reasonable.
Yes,
okay,
that's
but
another layer to this
skeptics
whole
look
thing
around
that's
the
just
world.
fascinating.
We have opened other
People within the
incredibly
program
delicate
apparently
ancient
started
sites
noticing
carefully.
these disturbing
Egypt's
parallels
tombs, Mayan temples,
between the remote
even,
viewing techniques they were
incredibly
developing
fragile
and
Ice
refining,
Age burials.
and practices
Techniques
found
exist.
in really
So why
old
this
occult
absolute
traditions,
ironclad
Occult
no,
traditions, like
like
that.
for Qin Shi Huang's inner
methods
chamber,
described
and
in
that's where the
esoteric
conspiracy
orders.
thinking really kicks
Groups
in,
like
isn't it?
the
The idea
Hermetic
that the
Order of
government
the
already
Golden
knows
Dawn,
something is
or
in
the
there, something they don't want us to
Okay.
see. They were
Something
looking
that
at
rewrite
rituals
history,
for astral
or
projection,
challenge national
achieving
narratives,
trance
or even
states,
change how we see
intense
ourselves as
visualization
humans.
That's the core of it.
The
What
whole
could
idea
possibly
of
be so
separating your
important, so
consciousness
disruptive,
from your
that it
physical
requires
body.
this level of
Wait, so the
secrecy?
technique
Yeah,
Sun
what
Streak
is
was
truly
teaching
at
its
stake? What
military
secret
viewers.
could be that big?
Seem to
Precisely.
directly
Because if
mirror
there is such a
these
secret, the
ancient
implications
mystical
are just
practices. It's quite
enormous.
striking when you put them
It
side
could
by
mean
side.
our
So the
whole
question
understanding
becomes,
of ancient technology,
Was the
our
Pentagon,
historical
was the
timeline,
DIA
maybe even our
inadvertently
place in the
stumbling
cosmos
onto,
is
or
wrong,
maybe
or at least
rediscovering
incomplete,
some
and that
kind of
kind of
ancient
disruption,
technique?
that's something any government
mystics
would
and
want to
secret
control
societies
very,
have been
very
using for
carefully.
centuries.
Especially
That's
if it
the
has
implication,
implications
yeah.
for power
Was this
or
military
national
intelligence
identity.
program
And let's circle
actually
back
an
to Qin
unwitting
Shi
or maybe
Huang's
witting occult
obsession.
experiment?
Immortality.
Pretty mind-bending
We know he
thought.
took those
and it
elixirs,
didn't
probably
stop
full
there,
of
did it?
mercury, right?
The experiences
Legend
got
says
darker.
they killed
They
him.
did.
But
Some
what if?
viewers started
What if he
reporting
sort of
encounters
did
with
find a way?
actively
Not through magic
hostile
potions,
presence,
but
but
something
something
else.
else. There are
How?
theories,
They describe,
speculative ones, I
entering
admit,
a
that his
location
body
mentally
sealed in there with all
projecting their
that mercury.
consciousness there,
Maybe it
only
didn't
to be
decay
confronted.
normally.
Maybe
Not
it was
by human
preserved.
guards,
Like
but
some
by
ancient
what they
form of
described as
cryogenics,
shadowy entities,
using methods we
things
don't
that seemed
understand.
maybe not
Fully
even aware of
human
their
methods.
psychic
And
intrusion
some
and
people push
actively
that
tried
even
to
further.
block them or push
Much
them
further.
out.
Aware of them.
They suggest
Yeah.
the tomb doesn't
Like
just
psychic
hold the
guards.
emperor.
Essentially,
Maybe
yes. Which
Well,
raises
visitors.
a really
Beings
profound
not from
and
Earth.
frankly
Look,
unsettling
ancient Chinese
possibility.
myths are
Which
full
is-
of stories
Well,
about
if the
sky
human
gods,
mind can actually
celestial
travel
dragons,
outside the
beings
body,
coming down from
maybe,
the heavens.
maybe those
Proponents say,
non-physical realms
maybe
aren't
these
empty.
aren't
Maybe
just
other
myths.
intelligence has already
Maybe they're
lived there.
garbled
Maybe they don't
accounts of
appreciate
real
visitors.
encounters.
Exactly.
ETs.
Entities
You see
that
similar
really
interpretations
didn't
worldwide,
want
don't you?
people like the
Egypt's
Sunstreak
pyramids,
viewers poking
Nazca
around. It
lines
makes you
in
wonder,
Peru, Easter
was
Island. These
Sunstreak opening
huge,
doors that had
mysterious,
been
ancient
deliberately
sites
shut
are
for a
sometimes
very
pointed
long
to as
time, for a
evidence of
good
alien
reason?
contact.
Okay, so if they were
Okay,
opening
yeah,
doors,
that's definitely way out there.
What exactly did they
Fantastical,
find on
even.
the other side?
But you know the strange thing
Because
is,
some of the most
complete lack of
sensational
proof
claims
for or
are
against
about,
these ideas is
well,
exactly what
aliens.
keeps them alive.
extraterrestrial.
Nobody has been inside.
Absolutely.
No
This
one
is
can
where the
say for
story
sure
really
what
goes
isn't in
into
there.
high gear.
So the mystery
We actually
itself
have
just breeds these
declassified
really wild
documents, fragments,
possibilities.
hints really that
And the tomb has
suggest
other weird features
some
too,
remote
right,
viewing
adding to
sessions
the
were
puzzle.
specifically
We
targeting
mentioned the traps
Mars.
Xi'an
Mars.
described the
Like
crossbows,
the
mercury
planet
floods.
Mars.
The
They
planet
sound more than
Mars.
just deterrents. They
There's
sound like
one
a serious
particularly
security
famous session,
designed
often
to keep something
cited,
hidden
where a viewer gave this
permanently.
incredibly
And then there's the
detailed
shape of the
description.
mound itself. It was
They
basically a
claimed
pyramid,
they
an
were
earthen one,
observing
sure, not
Mars
stone like
millions
Egypt.
of years ago.
But the shape is there.
Millions. And they
And that
described
connects to all
seeing
those
these
alternative
tall
history theories
beings
about
sheltering
pyramids globally.
inside massive
Sacred
pyramidal
geometry,
structures.
energy
Pyramids on
focusing.
Mars.
Pyramids on Mars
Could the
as
tomb
their
mound be
planet
more
was
than a
dying
tomb?
around
Could it
them.
be
A civilization facing
some
extinction.
kind of machine?
Wow. Okay.
An ancient power
That's
plant?
quite a claim.
It is.
Or
And
even,
it wasn't
I
just
don't know, a
Mars.
gateway.
Other sessions
maybe the
allegedly
most
targeted
unsettling
well-known
thought,
UFO hotspots and
one that
crash
really
sites
gives
on
you
Earth,
pause,
including Roswell.
is that maybe
Roswell
authorities
had
have
to
already
be in
peeked
there.
inside.
And viewers
Secretly,
reportedly described
there have been
seeing
reports,
non-human bodies,
whispers about
alien
ground
artifacts,
penetrating
all hidden
radar
away
scans,
deep inside
tech that lets you
classified
see
government
underground
facilities.
without digging.
So not just
they might
seeing
already know
things
the
far
layout,
away,
maybe even have
but
glimpses of
seeing
what's
things
inside.
the government was
And if they have
actively
seen
hiding.
something and they're still
That's
keeping
the
it
claim.
quiet,
It suggests
that
the
just
viewers
fuels
weren't
all the
just
deepest
passive
suspicions,
observers.
doesn't it?
They were
The implications
potentially
of that are
uncovering
huge.
evidence of an
Imagine
alien
finding
presence that was
technology
being
or
actively
knowledge
concealed.
that's millennia
And then
ahead
there's
of its
Wright
time.
Patterson Air Force
Could it be
Base,
weaponized?
right?
Could
Always
it
comes up
grant
in these
some
stories.
nation an
Wright
unbelievable
Patterson.
advantage?
Another
If so,
chilling
it
account
becomes
involved
this
a viewer
resource
who
of immense
claimed
power,
they
something you
psychically
wouldn't
entered
share,
a hidden
not
chamber
willingly,
deep underground there,
which makes the
What do they
continued
see?
silence,
Containers
the strict
holding
prohibition,
biological
feel even more significant, like
specimens
they're
that were
guarding something
completely unlike
world-altering.
anything known on
So
Earth.
yeah, wrapping
Alien
this up,
bodies, basically.
That's the
pretty
strong
clear
implication.
Qin Shi
And
Huang's
another
tomb is
viewer,
right up
possibly
there.
targeting
One
the
of the
same
absolute
location or a
biggest
similar
archaeological
one,
mysteries
claimed
we
they
have. It's
witnessed
this
some
incredible
kind
melting
of
pot
psychic
of real
network,
history, ancient
something
myth,
connecting human
these
minds
really
to
far-reaching
well,
conspiracy
something
theories.
else,
It really
something
boils
beyond
down
our
to that
world,
core
out
question,
among the
doesn't it?
stars.
Is it
A
just the
psychic
spectacular
network connecting us
tomb of a
together.
powerful
That was the
emperor
report.
obsessed
So
with
you
death
look at
and
all
the
these
afterlife?
accounts together:
Grand,
Mars,
yes, but
Roswell,
ultimately
Wright
understandable
Patterson's
within
psychic
history.
networks.
Or
It paints a very
does it
different
hold
picture
something
than
else?
just spying on the Soviets.
Secrets that could literally
Completely
force us
different.
to
If you
rewrite our
take these
history
reports
books,
at face
our
value, even
understanding
just
of who we
partially,
are.
And
the implication is huge.
actually goes inside.
Project
we can only
Sunstreak
guess, we can speculate.
might have started as
But that
espionage, but
speculation,
it
that
seems to have
deep,
pivoted.
enduring mystery,
It became
it
about
just
preparing
feeds
for
our curiosity,
contact
doesn't it?
with non-human
Breeds these
intelligence.
conspiracies.
Or
And with
maybe
this
more
tomb,
cynically,
maybe,
about making sure
just
that
maybe,
contact
some of
remained a
those
secret,
conspiracies are closer
kept
to the
far
mark
away
than
from
we
the
usually
public
dare
eye.
to think.
But the
So just
theories
think about
don't
this
even
for a
stop
moment.
at
Imagine you
just
uncover
ETs from other
something. A
planets,
truth
do they?
so big
Some
it
people
changes
take it even
everything you
further.
thought you knew
That's
about
right.
the past,
There's a
about
whole other
science.
branch of
What's the
theory
real cost
suggesting
of knowing
Sunstreak
something like
wasn't
that?
just
And how
encountering
much are we, or
extraterrestrials,
should
but
we be,
potentially
willing to risk to find
interdimensional
out?
beings.
Interdimensional,
joining us
like
on this deep
from
dive.
parallel